there, I hope you're having an awesome day. Today I'm going to go out and plant some peonies. I'm first going to put down some landscape fabric and I will either burn or cut the holes in it. Super windy today and I doubt my tripod will stay standing up. The peonies, I will show you the eyes on them, the roots, which way to plant them. We'll put some compost in the hole, and then later on in the season I will add some mulch on top of it to keep the peonies from heaving during the freeze and thaw this winter. So let's get to it. I already have a row of peonies over here. They are spaced about 30 inches apart. In your home landscape, you want them to be at least 3 feet apart to allow them to have enough airflow between them as possible, because they have such a problem with botrytis that we want to make sure we do everything we can to try to prevent that. So for cut flower production, I can go 2 feet apart, and then what I would really ultimately have done was come over into the middle of them and plant them 2 feet this way. Then I could pick or cut from both sides of the row. The reason that mine are going to be spaced out differently here is because in front of me I have raised beds and I wanted to match up the aisleways with them. So for maximum space, if you have a small space, put them 2 by 2 for cut flower production, 3 feet apart if you're at home. I will start out, I will lightly tack these down and roll my fabric out, straighten it out, and lightly tack it at the other end. Then I'm going to come back down here and put the staples in really good, and then I'll go along and finish stapling all the sides. So I have staples. These are 6 inches. This is about 1 inch. And I have a hammer. I have the fabric overlapped a couple of inches. Ultimately, I would have liked to have gone at least 3. I don't think it's going to line up correctly for me. The brand of this fabric is DeWitt Pro. It's DeWitt, and it is 4 feet wide. I'm folding the end under because I cut it instead of burning it, and it tends to fray when it's been cut. I'm not putting the staples in all the way at this point because I want to make sure once I get the whole thing rolled out that if I need to be able to make some adjustments where it needs to be lined up better, that I'll be able to easily remove the staples. Well, I told you that it was windy today. I placed the staples about 18 to 24 inches apart or so, and then I make sure I go and put the staples across from each other, and I pull from side to side as I go down. Okay, so I have several different peonies to plant. There's actually a total of 18, and I only have 16 holes back there in the row. But I have some in these pots. I think there's 12 of those that were given to me or that I dug up from my yard. Last year I planted a 150-foot row of peonies in an area that floods, and I did not know it flooded, and I lost most of them. So a lot of these got dug up from there, then I actually saved them. I have some new ones, or some labeled ones. This is a coral charm, and you can see the eye right here. See if I can get this to focus. So there's an eye, there's an eye. Now this bag this in said it was a 2 to 3 eye, but I can actually see 4 on there. Granted, they are tiny, 3 of them are tiny, but it's gonna be great. So this is an Ito peony. It is a cross between a herbaceous peony and a tree peony. And you can see all the eyes. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 eyes on there, maybe 7. So this should have no problem blooming this year for me. It may decide the first year in the ground that, nope, I'm working on roots, so I'm not going to bloom. But it will at least put up some greenery. Now I want you to see this root, how it's been cut along here. That's just fine. It looks healed up, and they're just very hardy plants, and that will grow no problem. These I will put in my yard instead of back in the production bed because they're expensive. Ito peonies are very expensive, so they're going to go in my bed. I do have 2 of them back here that I wanted to soak in water for a little bit because they just seemed like they were a little dry. So I've got them soaking. And then, so what's going to happen when we go back over here to the field, or to the row where I'm going to put them in, I'm going to attempt to dig the hole with my hand since I ran the tiller through there. If not, I have my auger and a little hand trowel. So I'll dig the hole, I will put some compost down in there, and we'll cover them up. And then in November, late November, early December, maybe the middle of December, I will come in and I will cover those up with mulch, because I want them to stay in the ground, and with their freezing and thawing of the ground, they will maybe want to heave if they don't have enough roots developed to hold on to the soil. So something that I forgot to mention is that right before I put these in the ground, I am going to spray them with a copper fungicide, because I don't know what kind of condition they were in when they were dug, if they had any kind of viruses or a fungus or anything. I'm going to just make sure that I soak these eyes really, really, really well, and I might probably do the whole root like this. I will do this right before I put them in the ground, because I want this fungicide to stay wet. So just soak, soak, soak. So I read that the fungus will hang out right here on the eye. So that's why I'm doing it as a preventative measure. I really don't know if it's going to do anything, but I already had this and it's worth a try. Now in the spring, what I will do is as soon as the buds start showing, or the eyes, as soon as they start showing above the ground, then I will come back in with a copper fungicide and I will spray them again almost immediately. Here's a word of caution for you if you want to burn holes in the landscape fabric. Make sure there's absolutely nothing vegetative material that is dry underneath it. I got the first hole burnt fine. The second hole, some stuff caught on fire, and that fire started running underneath the fabric and burning it. So I had to stop doing that, and I had to cut the rest of the holes out with scissors. The ground is super hard from having a drought this year. I had to resort to using the auger. This is a bulb auger that I attached to my DeWalt cordless drill. When I need to make a bigger hole, I just kind of turn it a little bit sideways to make the hole bigger in the ground. But anyhow, you want the eyes on your peonies to be pointing straight up when you plant the root. If there are multiple eyes on there and a couple of them might be a little bit sideways, just get as many as you can pointing up, and then the other ones will correct themselves over time. So I put some compost in the hole. Sometimes I mix it up, sometimes I just leave it in the bottom, and then just cover it up. In my zone, I make sure that I have 2 inches of soil above the tip of the eye. If you're in a warmer climate, you can go a little higher than that, like maybe 1 inch. And I've even seen some people where they actually even show part of the root. You really need to check your zone though and see how far down you need to make them. If you plant them too deep, then they may not bloom at all. Using the auger makes a horrible mess on top of the landscape fabric, so I go back and I blow off any excess soil. Simply because, well, 2 reasons. 1, because it looks really bad, and 2, that extra soil laying there gives a place for the weeds to grow. And I don't want that. That was the whole point of using the fabric in the first place. Once that was done, I went back and I watered in each peony very, very well. I wanted to make sure that water got well down below each of those roots. It's been so dry here. If it doesn't rain within the next week to 10 days, I'll go back in and water deeply again. And I may do that for a few weeks. If you've made it this far, thank you so very much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel and have a super awesome day.